Hi, I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read. If you watch all the episodes in my time travel week, you'll see that while I've read a bunch of science fiction time travel fiction, there's still quite a bit that I've yet to get to. The following books are those that I haven't yet read, and most fall on my intend to read list. If you've read any of these, let me know which ones you'd slide to the top of the list. First up for me is 11/22/63 by Stephen King, published in 2011. Of all the titles on my time travel TBR, this is easily the one that I'm most eager to read. I've liked every Stephen King novel that I've ever read, and I don't recall ever hearing a negative review of this book. It very obviously features time travel and a plot involving returning to Kennedy's assassination and affecting events to create a different outcome. I'm aware that King extensively researched the era, and this further adds to my eagerness as I really enjoy historical fiction. Matching science fiction and historical fiction, for me, is almost always a winning combination. Next up is 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton, published in 2018. Evelyn Hardcastle is murdered, but it's made to not look like a murder. Main character Aidan Bishop, also the narrator of the story, has to figure out who done it. The catch is that the time travel element in the story is represented by Aidan reliving events leading up to the murder over and over again by inhabiting different characters of the story. This Groundhog's Day type reliving will continue until he gets it right. Another very celebrated time travel novel that I have not read that I want to get to is The Time Traveler's Wife by Audrey Niffenegger, published in 2003. Henry de Tamble's genetics cause him to time travel. It's been happening since he was 5 years old. It's beyond his control, and he never knows where he might end up. A la the Terminator, when he beams to the past or future, he ends up naked, and his first order of business is to find some clothes. My understanding is that while the premise is obviously a sci-fi trope, the story is really about the relationship between Henry and his wife and how they navigate this obviously huge distraction to their lives and their relationship. Ghost Country by Patrick Lee was published in 2010. This is actually a sequel to another book, The Breach, so I'm not sure that I'll make it to this series, but since it's on my radar as a time travel novel, I figured I'd bring it up here. This fits into the action or thriller side of science fiction, or maybe the science fiction side of action thrillers. In this sequel, the main character Chase is shown a hole through time in which he can view Ghost Country, a look at a bleak and desolate future. It sounds like an apocalypse situation with bones everywhere. Not surprisingly, Chase will try to find out what happened and how to prevent it. Behold the Man by Michael Moorecock, published in 1969. This one starts with the premise of a man volunteering to ride the time machine back to the time of Jesus and witness the crucifixion. What looks interesting in this one is that it's a things aren't what they seem story. Apparently John the Baptist is more than just a baptizer, and Mary and Joseph aren't the epitome of the traditional happily married couple. I don't claim to be any sort of theologian expert on the Bible, but like most who grew up with Christian upbringing, I know the basics of most Jesus-related stories, so this seems like it could be a fun reading adventure. This next one has been recommended to me pretty strongly, and that's Replay by Ken Grimwood, published in 1987. Looking into this one, I expect heavy Groundhog Day vibes again. The main character dies in his 40s, and then wakes up back in college to relive his life over and over until he gets it right. This could either go well and hit a home run in the make the most of your life category, or it could not, and I could see how it could end up being pretty repetitive. Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, published in 1991, where 11/22/63 is the TBR novel that I'm most eager for. Outlander is likely on the other end of the spectrum. Because it has science fiction and time travel, there's a chance that I'll read it, and because it's wildly popular, I wanted to include it on this list. The main characters are Claire and Jamie, and I've heard this novel referred to as a romance more than anything. Along with their romance, there are fantastical elements like witches and fairies, and there's the historical fiction element with the 18th century in Scotland. I know that I said I like the idea of sci-fi historical fiction blend, but this one sounds more to me like speculative fantasy fiction with historical fiction romance. I could get around to it, but an 850-page investment for something that I'm unsure about, it might be a bit too much to ask. Here, Now, and Then by Mike Chen, published in 2019. Kin is an agent for the Temporal Bureau, the overseers, I believe, of all things time travel. Don't go back and change the timeline type of stuff. Kin travels back from 2019 to the 1990s on one of his missions. He gets stuck there, having no memory of his future life. He falls in love and starts a family. This gets problematic because he's eventually brought back to his original time, where he's determined to help his 14-year-old daughter from his 1990s life. I like Chen's writing style, so I think that there's a good chance I'll get to this one at some point. Last year, I reviewed his novel, We Could Be Heroes. Heroes wasn't a fit for me, but it was a me thing. I didn't realize what the book was going to be. Despite that, I did like his writing, and I'd be up for trying him out again. Invictus by Ryan Groudon, published in 2017. Main character Faraway McCarthy's mother is a time traveler from 2354, and his father is a gladiator from 95 AD. His mother has this relationship and gives birth to Faraway before returning to her time, the appropriate time. This means Faraway is born outside of time. This is an anomaly and outside of the rules of nature. When Faraway tries to become a time traveler himself and fails, he gets caught up settling in with a starship crew, doing black market stuff, swiping valuable things from the past. Sounds pretty interesting. If you're looking for something geared more toward a young adult audience, maybe Invictus is the way to go. This next one I just watched a really great review of by Moid from the channel Media Death Cult, and that is The First 15 Lives of Harry August by Claire North, published in 2014. Every time Harry August dies, his life starts over as a toddler to relive it all over again. This happens with others as well, but for Harry, and this is rare, he eventually realizes that this is happening. He is an outlier. In this thriller, Harry will try to figure out what is the point of this ride, what change he can affect, and what he needs to do. During my recent interview with Adrian Tchaikovsky, he suggested North as an author to read, and that moves this up high on my to-be-read list. You can also look for Tchaikovsky on my upcoming Top 210 Science Fiction Books video, as he and many other amazing authors like Ian MacDonald, David Brin, and many others have come on to do cameos for me, as well as Moid from Media Death Cult, Mike from Mike's Book Reviews, Chloe from Thistle and Verse, and many other really great creators, so be on the lookout for that video. Speaking of authors who will be doing cameos on my top 210 list, like Adrian Tchaikovsky, some others, Wole Talabi, Elia Dawn Johnson, Dennis E. Taylor, and many others, and many other creators as well, like Erica from The Broken Spine, Ashley from The Bookish Realm. This next author, Imran Kuvadia, wrote A Spy in Time, published in 2018. He will be doing a cameo on my 210 video also. This is a spy thriller time travel story with some unique for science fiction geography. The story is at times in Johannesburg, Marrakesh, and Rio de Janeiro as far as I know. Enver, the main character, is situated in farish future Johannesburg. Johannesburgians survived a catastrophic apocalyptic event because of all the deep mines around the city. The mission? Go back in time and prevent the apocalypse from occurring. Up the Line by Robert Silverberg, published in 1969. The synopsis of this made me immediately think of the Bradbury short Sound of Thunder, because the main character is a time guide or time courier, taking people in tourist groups to travel to the past while being mindful of not interrupting or interfering with any events that could have compounded effects in the future. My guess is that is where the Bradbury similarities end, as I'm expecting, because I've been told to expect it, more sexuality and perhaps, for the time, vulgarity. Split Second by Douglas E. Richards, published in 2015. In Split Second, we find a physicist who has worked out the solution to his time travel project. Then he's killed. His girlfriend and a private eye she connects with are on a mission to find out why everyone is after this time travel research. What's the mystery, right? It's time travel. Who wouldn't be interested? The catch? The time travel only sends you back for less than a second. I feel like I've already worked this out as to why the research would still be valuable, but who knows? Maybe there's more to it than I think. How to Live Safely in a Science Fictional Universe by Charles Yu, published in 2010. I'm going to use part of the Goodreads synopsis for this one. It reads in part, every day people get into time machines and try to do the one thing they should never do: change the past. That's where Charles Yu, time travel technician, steps in. He helps save people from themselves. When he's not taking client calls or consoling his boss, Phil, who could really use an upgrade, Yu visits his mother, stuck in a 1-hour cycle of time, and searches for his father, who invented time travel and then vanished. Accompanied by Tammy, an operating system with low self-esteem, and Ed, a non-existent but ontologically valid dog, Yu sets out to find the one day where he and his father can meet in memory. He learns that the key may be found in a book that he got from his future self. It's called How to Live Safely in a Science Fictional Universe, and he's the author. Hawksbill Station by Robert Silverberg, published in 1967. I'm really looking forward to this read as I'm eager to experience more of Silverberg's work, and because the premise really catches my attention. Prisoners are sent 1 billion years back to the past to Hawksbill Station for their prison sentence. They can't escape, and they certainly can't get back to the future because it's a one-way deal with the time travel. The period that they are sent to is so far in the past that there's no chance that anything that they can do can impact the established future. Yeah, right, I'm already not buying that, but I am on board for it. But more than anything, I want to find out what is the deal with this suspicious young guy who's sent to the station. My curiosity is highly piqued. Time Travelers Never Die by Jack McDevitt, published in 2009. This is a time travel novel that has a lot of time jumps. Instead of just someone jumping from the future to the past and everything happening in one spot, this one sends its time travelers to a number of historical spots, including Italy, London, Alabama, Alexandria, and others. The two characters, Shell and Dave, using handheld time travel devices, travel to all of these places looking for Shell's dad, who's the inventor of said devices. One Day This Will All Be Yours by Adrian Tchaikovsky, published in 2021. All I need to know about this one is that it's Adrian Tchaikovsky writing time travel fiction. Actually, I need to know quite a bit more. Because I really want to read this, I looked it up, and it's not an easy physical book to get a hold of. Audiobooks are tough for me because I have trouble focusing, so I really need to hold of physical books, and so audiobooks just don't work for me, so I'm going to have to keep looking. I want to go in as blind as possible with this eventual read, but I will share that what I am familiar with is that this is a first-person narration told from the POV of a time soldier who is perhaps a morally questionable anti-hero. Thank you for watching. If you stuck around this long, let me just remind you, stay tuned to the channel, especially for the upcoming author interviews that I've got going on, and then especially for that top 210 science fiction reads video episode. Gonna have some really great cameo appearances from wonderful creators like Mike from Mike's Book Review, Moid from Media Death Cult, Rachel from The Shades of Orange, Beautifully Bookish Bethany, Michael K. Vaughn, and so many others, and some really astonishing, wonderful, classic, iconic authors. We've got David Brin, yes, the David Brin, Peter Watts, Adrian Tchaikovsky, Elia Dawn Johnson, Premi Muhammad, Wole Talabi, Dennis E. Taylor from the Bobbyverse, and so many more. You're not going to want to miss that episode. It's going to be a really long video, so you're going to have to kind of either stick around for a long time or just keep coming back to it. Thank you for watching. I'm Michael Everts, and this is Fit to be Read.